Hello, welcome back, everybody, to Midnight Review with me, your host, Thomas. In this episode, I'm going to be giving my review of the movie Rebel Ridge. It's on Netflix. It's currently the number one movie pick as of 9/14/2024. I hope you all enjoy, and let's get right into it. So, Rebel Ridge, just a little small thing for you, a little synopsis, kind of. Small town cop thinks that this guy who just kind of showed up is an easy target. He seizes his money. He's a former Marine, um, but they kind of don't realize how serious he is about, what he's kind of trying to do and what he's planning on doing. So, um, we'll get into that more though here in a second. So the movie kind of starts off with him on his bike, biking into town, some metal music playing and stuff like that, and it, you know, pretty cool, pretty good. And you see a cop car swerving behind him, and you only hear from what he's hearing at this moment. So all you can hear is the earbuds in, and he's just jamming out, and you cannot hear the sirens at all. So the cop car literally bumps him off the bike, and he gets two massive gashes down his arms. They're pretty good sizes. Um, they get him on the ground, and then another cop car pulls up from the other side, and they are putting him in cuffs. He's in cuffs, and he's got a backpack on his back. And one of the cops says to the other cop, and I wrote down a few quotes because I was like, either this is fucked up or like I wanna read these off because they're kind of dope. So the first one is, "It's not too late to get tased." One of the cops said this to the other cop, talking about the guy they just basically threw to the ground, and they're in the sense of not too late to tase him. Dude took being thrown off a bike by getting hit by a cop car like an absolute champ. Like, he looks like a beast, kind of acts like a beast. He's not, just very straight faced, serious. Um, so then they were talking to him, and they start searching his belongings, and they ask if they can open up this plastic bag of it's like a Chinese wrapped, like a Chinese takeout bag, but it's got stuff inside of it, and they're asking if they can open it up. And he goes, "No, yeah, you guys don't have the reason to look in that, and I don't want you to." They said, "Okay, we'll call a canine down." They asked for the canine that's in their county. This is a small town, mind you, and they're like, "Oh, that canine's having surgery or something." And so they're like, "Okay, we'll call the state canine." And he's like, "Okay, well, I really have somewhere to be, and like, how long is that going to take?" And they're like, "An hour." So he's like, "Fine, you can just search it. Oh, if there's nothing illegal, you'll be fine with it. Well, it's up to our discretion, whatever." Um, it is $36,000 that's in his backpack, and they take it from him, saying that basically it is possibility of it being like drug money, that, and that's why they have the ability to take it from him, and it's just crazy. It's just fucked up. So uh, he's all pissed, and he kind of heads to the station to go talk about, well, he heads to the courthouse because the courthouse is where he was going. So the $36,000, and he tells us to the cops too. 10,000 was to bail out his cousin, whose name is Mike or Michael, depending on you want to be formal about it or not. But his name's Mike, and he's going down there to bail out his friend Mike or cousin Mike, who basically got put on charges and is going to go to jail. Well, he apparently had snitched on people in the past, and the jail he was going to had the people he snitched on. I don't think Mike knew this until later on, and there's a reason that I'm saying that. But basically, Terry knew that, and Terry's the main character's in screen name. The dude's actual name is Aaron Pierre. So yeah, I'll throw up some images too if you know what I'm talking about with who he is. Um, so he goes down there to talk to him, and they're like, "Well, we can't really do anything." considering we're telling us that like your money got taken by the police. We can't use the money you got taken by the police in our possession to pay off this bail. So he's all, disgruntled. And he talks to this other person also at the station who's also one of the clerks, like courthouse clerk, and trying to help him out, but really can't. Also, this town, if you don't catch on, is like really racist. Well, I shouldn't say the town. Uh, the big people that really stand out and really show face in this are somewhat racist at times. So, but they do have a, I don't know. It's just weird. So, um, he talks to this girl and she's like, yeah, there's really nothing you can do, but he's getting transferred on Thursday, so you're okay. You have a little bit of time to figure out, the money situation. So he calls the place that he left. He's like, hey, I need money. I know you guys just let me go. So he left his job to come down here and give $10,000 to bail him out, and then he's gonna buy a $26,000 truck to tow boats and other things with his cousin to make some money and start a business that way, which is cool. Like, cool for him, good for him. But they took all the money, so he doesn't have any money right now. He's just broke. And I think that's shown really well in this movie too, because he is a very honest guy. So because he doesn't have any money, he just goes and lives in the woods at the night. Like he in one of the scenes, and I said this is kind of unrealistic fishing because I don't think it. I don't. I'm not saying this is not possible. He like finds a. It's not a worm, but it's something similar. And basically holds it on the end of his like thumb, and puts his hand in the water, and then grabs a fish, and then he cooks that fish that night for dinner. Which I mean, good for him. Like, you know, pretty cool scene, that kind of stuff. So he shows up the next day at the chief's place, and he's talking to the chief about, hey, what can we do? He also finds out that a lot of people that are, charged these small crimes, because apparently his cousin's getting charged with like a very like petty crime, and it's like his first time. Um, Basically, they're getting these massive bails and these massive sentences, like have to be here for 90 days before they're able to be like transferred off. And these massive bails of like $10,000 for like a minor charge that he had. So he's getting told all this, so he knows that there's something fishy going on, but he's not quite sure what it is. Um, and with that being said, it kind of so he goes down to the chief to talk to him because he knows that the chief is basically gonna say, "Go fuck yourself," but he knows that he might be able to talk the chief into, possibly breaking him a deal since he knows a little bit about what's going on in the small town, and he knows that's dangerous. Um, so he goes to the chief, and at the time, I write, chief seems to be working with him somewhat. Uh, so the chief, at first is like, fuck you. And then he's like, okay, well, how about this? You can keep the $26,000. I'll take the 10,000. I'll bail out my guy that I want to bail out. And then, we'll figure out the rest. So he's like, okay, we'll do that. Come by here tomorrow morning, 9 o'clock, 9 a.m. And you can talk to Mike and we'll, set you straight. You'll be all good. So he leaves. And I make another note that he rides with his earbuds in a lot because like every single time he's on this bicycle, he throws his earbuds in, and I'm like, dude, this is how the movie started. His earbuds was in, he couldn't hear anything. I'm like, don't get pulled over or anything. Don't get off the bike again. So he goes back in the woods, sleeps the night off, shows back up the next day at like 9:03. So he's like 3 minutes late. And you see like this bus off in the distance. It's kind of like rolling away. And he goes up to the chief, and the chief's like, oh, you just missed him. And also, so he was supposed to be transferred on Thursday, and he's like, so we decided to move up our groundbreaking process on the new jail cell in this area. So we moved it up to today. And it's like 3 days earlier. It's the Monday. Like, what the fuck? So he then goes biking after this bus and keeps up with this bus, which is really impressive. And basically tells Mike, hey, ask for protection immediately as soon as you get in there, kind of thing. I'm working on it. And then they have this nice little touching moment where he like pedals up to the bus driver and then slows down and bumps fists with his cousin, and then goes back to do his thing. Then he calls the business that he originally left. So earlier he called the business, and I don't think I even mentioned this. I've been jumping around a little bit, so sorry. He calls the business and he's like, "Hey, I need you," because this is the point where he doesn't have any money. This is before the deal. He just doesn't have any money, and he's like, "Hey, I need $10,000." So they're like, "Okay, well, to do that, we'll have to do some, mail orders, but we can get you the cash, right?" His old boss is willing to work with him, which amazing, right? Cool. So he calls his boss because now, he doesn't have the $10,000 from the chief, like the chief said he was going to give him. Chief screwed him. So he calls his boss and he's like, "Hey, I need you to move up that money. I need that money now." And his boss is like, "Well, here's the thing. My business is getting raided by the police. So I don't have any money. And I don't even think I'm gonna be able to pay my guys this week." So he's he gets him the chief fucks Terry, the main character, and he fucks the dude's old job because he found out that he was talking to them, which is just an absolute shit show. He goes back to the chief, and they have this discussion. So the scene shows, they're looking him up, trying to figure out, what he was doing in the Marines and things like that. And I think it was like he had like a certificate on there of like what one of those things was, and it was like MCMAP. They couldn't pull up what that was before like the chief went out there to talk to him, and then by the time they pulled it up, they're like, "Oh crap, he was a martial arts instructor for the Marines," which that sentence alone sounds badass. So like, okay, that's cool. Uh, and they go out there to have this conversation. Well, the chief and him are pretty damn close. So, they're talking through this whole deal they were supposed to have and how this deal's now gone and things like that. And his backup guy who's in the actual like sheriff's or city police building walks out and he's like, "Sheriff, back up, sheriff, back up." So the sheriff's like starting to backpedal, and like Harry's just keeping with him, keeping with him, keeping with him, like keeping the distance the same. And then the chief pulls his weapon and Terry like stops it, and there's this whole scene that's kind of dope. He's he's like dropping the magazine out, so there's no bullets in the like inside the there's no magazine in the gun. Then there's just one in the chamber, and then he'll pop out the one in the chamber and then throw the gun to the side. He does this throughout the whole movie too, where he's just popping like the magazine out, pops the chamber, so there's no bullets in the chamber, and then like there's one scene where like he's a little closer to the guys while he's doing this, so he like pops the thing out, he pops the magazine out, pops the one out of the chamber, and then D uh he takes the bullets out of the magazine by sliding them out one by one with his thumb. And I'm like, that's a cool little attention to detail. That's him paying attention and being like, I don't want these guys to be able to quickly pick up a weapon and shoot me. So that's cool. Another quote that I found that was kind of funny that kind of got thrown back and forth. When he first went to the station, he kind of interrupted the chief. The chief was like, "Allow me to finish." And it seemed kind of rude. So now with Terry back and Terry's talking to the chief and they're outside, talking about this deal that, obviously the chief fucked him on. The chief interrupts him and he goes, "Allow me to finish." And he hits him with the same thing. And I'm like, hell yeah, Terry, you let him know. And then he also says something. He says, "I'm running out of letters. So you like something, you better be worried because I'm running out of letters." And I was confused. I think the chief was confused. And so he explains it. He says, "I have letters that I follow when I'm doing things." And he, tells this whole thing, and it's PACE, PACE. I'm actually going to look up the acronym again because I don't remember. It is primary, alternate, contingency, and emergency. So this is, what he was saying, and he's like, my primary objective was to come down here, bail out my cousin, do all this. My alternative, was to come talk to you guys and make a deal. My contingency was my old boss was going to give me the money. And you see, I'm running out of letters because that only leaves E, which is emergency. And it's like, holy shit, such a cool thing. It's an actual acronym, which is dope that they, give this. And, it's just cool. So I'll stop doing that and goring over that. But it was a cool little acronym they did for it. So he ties up he disarms both the backup and the chief, gets them both inside. Almost has a redneck guy from the construction site shoot him, but the chief kind of asks him to put down his weapon. And then he takes him in there and he kind of ties him up to a chair using their cuffs. So they're back to back and their hands are cuffed to each other. And then the lady that's in there, it's a black lady that's in there, and she's hiding. So he tells the chief to tell her to get out here, and so she gets out there. And I have notes in front of me also, so I'm reading some of the notes. But basically, he goes out there outside where the redneck guy was, and he has the lady act like she's like got him and she's taking him somewhere. And then once they get far enough away, he gets back on his bikes off, and drops the keys to the cruiser and like everything like that, like half a mile away from the cop car. So she has to walk a mile to get the keys to get back in the cop car, which is crazy. I'd be upset. I'd actually be livid. I'd actually just start walking with him next to his bike. Because like, what am I gonna do, dude? I have to grab the keys, then I have to walk back a whole mile just to get in my car. So whatever. One of the notes I have is I love this dude's form because the he's very methodical with how he's doing this, which I feel like the right kind of martial arts is methodical. So I'm actually going to see if I can look up the acronym or the Marines concept system to teach Marines and Navy personnel hand-to-hand combat, close quarter fighting, and other skills. So it incorporates many martial arts, including Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu, boxing, karate, kung fu, and taekwondo. So yeah, he just looks very methodical with what he's doing and just kind of being able to counter things and then transfer to, takedowns and things like that. Oh my God, this dude's a beast. Later on in the movie, he grabs some dude by the vest and flips him over his back in front of him, right onto the ground. And I'm like, holy shit. Has nothing to do with what we were just talking about, really. I mean, but it's just insane to see that he has some strength behind him, too. While he's at the station, he gets $10,000 from of his stolen money back, and goes straight to the or the courthouse and pays the bail while all these cop cars are running around looking for him. He gets to the courthouse, pays his bail, and then the cops literally come in on him, and one dude tases him. Doesn't need to. He's just flying and everything, and he tases him right in the back. You can see his whole body tense up, and he just stands there like a fucking beast. He just takes it. The taser stops. He reaches back with his hand, grabs the taser line, and just yanks and pulls the actual taser gun out of the cop's hand. I was like, that's fucking crazy. So he's then kind of in jail doing his thing. And they take him to the hospital. And, well, they're transporting because they put him in they don't really have a jail in like the city anymore that they're in, the little county they're in. So they transport him. They're transporting him. And the chief's in the front seat. And the chief's talking to him. And he brings up another acronym, which I now have in front of me, which all these acronyms are like legit actual things. So The next acronym he pulls out of just, his knowledge is EOF NLE, which is escalation of force, non-lethal effects, which when he just goes into these little things where he's just like rambling about, it's not even rambling, but he's talking about things that are actually real. I love when movies tie it to real life stuff and like really do the research, because every single time, like EOF NLE, the first legit result is USMC, which is United States Marine Corps, and this is a Marine guy, right? When I pulled up what did I pull up? Oh, I pulled up the MCMAP, which, I mean, that's Marine Corps though. It's Marine Corps' martial arts program, right? Still Marine Corps. The pace, you know, they talk about it in Army maneuver, like it's very government stuff, very government military stuff. So I like that it's tying it kind of together. So he's given a deal. It's kind of an ultimatum, but it's a deal. They get the $26,000 that he left for him, the original deal, right? And they're gonna give it to him. But the thing is his cousin's been stabbed multiple times after getting processed and is being lifelined to the hospital that they're at. They beat the helicopter there, and they're giving him a choice of, hey, you can take the money and go buy the truck, go live your life, but you can't do it in this town. Or if you stick around, you're gonna find out. Like the whole fuck around, find out. That's what they're basically telling him. Like, you stick around, you're gonna find out, bud. So he takes the deal, and then the helicopter arrives, and the next scene is them talking about how they want to get his remains to the cousin, and it's a sad scene. Um, so he's kind of pissed, but he then has the lady from the courthouse who's been helping him out like this entire time drive him to the dually that has already been paid for. So they paid for the dually also. Um, he gets there and he gets the dually and kind of drives off. He does give the lady who's been working with him and like been trying to help out and that kind of stuff, his number, just in case, whatever. And it was actually because the she said, I wish I had the right words to say to you, but I'm sorry for what's happening. And he's like, here's my number. Text me something, poetic when you think of it. Which I don't I kind of like that he did that. Kind of cool. Next note here, right? So I've explained a lot. I feel like a whole lot's going on. He shows up to the small town. He gets hit by a police car. His money gets taken. He's trying to get his cousin out of jail. He's living in the woods because he has no money. He then is arguing with the chief, and his cousin dies, and he's just walking away. And very interesting that the movie feels like it's like been a full long movie so far. And you turn around and I literally was like, oh, okay, we're probably good halfway through this, maybe even a three quarters. I can see him getting some revenge and that being about it, right? We weren't even halfway through the movie, and I was stunned at this point. My notes get a lot less because I was taking a lot of notes in the beginning, and then I started just watching the movie and loving it. So the woman who's been helping him has a son, and she kind of doesn't have custody. So she's been kind of fighting that whole fight and trying to get custody for him. But she also had like she's also a felon for she's a felon, but she's not really like a felon. It's kind of a bad reason. She's upset about it, and I understand why. She gets stuck in the middle of the night by the, corrupt cops. with a needle of like heroin or some shit. I don't know. And she basically calls Terry and is like, "Hey, I need you. I think they're trying to kill me." So Terry gets in his dually, drives back into town where they already told him not to show up. And he gets there. She's fine. She figures out what they're trying to do. They just wanted to get her high enough to where basically they're going to, if she goes and tries to, say like, "Oh, this happened," they're going to be like, "Okay, we're going to have to drug test you." And then they're going to drug test her. And then, she's going to have, there's no way in hell that she'll ever see her child again. So she gets to her job. She gets drug tested anyways, which is fucked. And he goes to leave and he gets stopped on the way out of town. Now, they don't use their, you know, uh, overhead lights. They don't use the red and blues. The cop just kind of rolls up next to him, points to the side of the road, and he pulls over. And then there's a cop that comes over the like bend in front of him, the road in front of him, and stops and blocks the whole road. And there's a cop that shows up behind everybody and stops and blocks the road. So there's just two cops on the far ends and a cop that's going to talk to him. So he goes, "Yeah, it's all this big misunderstanding. I'm leaving. I'm sorry. There was an emergency. Had to come in here." And he's like, "Oh, so you're running to the emergencies now?" And I was like, "That's such a smart aleck thing to say." But I love it. And then he proceeds to throw a revolver through the window. The cop, sorry, I need to be more specific here. The cop proceeds to throw a revolver through the window. Then he proceeds to shout, "Gun," grabs his pistol, and shoots Terry in the arm because he's a bad shot. Terry then decides to just full on rip into him and slams the door into him, just kind of de-arms him. Once again, gets his pistol, drops the magazine, drops he slides back the bolt so he can eject that round that's in the chamber, and then he kind of he kicks the magazine away, grabs the keys, gets in the truck, and starts hauling ass through this field. And when I say I am impressed by this dually's off-road capabilities, this guy was fucking ripping it up, and I was surprised. He then goes and hides underneath. Well, he parks his dually truck underneath a bridge, and underneath that bridge is a creek. So he's like, his dually's in a creek, which is weird. And he walks to town. No, he walks to his boss's joint, and he calls I don't know her name in this movie, but it's the lady that's been helping him the entire time, the court clerk. He calls her and she's like, "Hey, I'm in trouble." He's like, "Cool, I was in trouble too." And she's like, "Yeah, well, my cop buddy just told me to not go near you because, they're after you," kind of thing. And so he's like, "Okay, cool." And they meet up at the boss's place. He gets stitched up, and they have another cool quote here of she kept like being like, kept saying to like, avoid, and, it'll be taken care of kind of thing, but like we're not the ones taking care of it kind of. So he turns on this quote of, "We are the fire," which sounds kind of soft outside of the movie, but like inside the movie at the heat of the moment, it's kind of solid. Kind of solid. I then put a note of it gets deeper and deeper and deeper because they have to basically go around and investigate and figure out the actual like whole story of what's going on. And it's pretty deep shit. They find out the reason why they've been holding him for like 90 days is because they basically get rid of the evidence after 90 days. Kind of a fucked thing to do. That's what they're doing. They go to collect the evidence and they find that the cops are kind of burning. They're covering their tracks. So they're like burning down the courthouse. Like getting rid of the judge that knows a little too much kind of thing and things like that. So the gal gets taken at some point during the whole courthouse thing, and they have to go to the chief and kind of talk about, well, they have this plan to meet up at Rebel Ridge. The whole holy hell! I just said the movie title, right? Rebel Ridge. So they're all planted out there, ready to go. And he shows up at the police station instead and decides to start breaking down the wall into the possessions locker and the weapons locker on the back of the station with his dually pickup truck. Badass thing to do. He gets in there and he shoots the chief twice with beanbag rounds from a shotgun. And then the black lady's pissed at him, and she acts like she's gonna help him for a little bit, and then she decides not to, and takes him outside, where the whole force is now shown up, and he goes out there. They drop the little SD cards that have all the evidence against them on the ground, and the main bad cop, corrupt cop, smashes them all. Then he goes to shoot Terry, and one of the cops is like, "Hey, I don't think we should do that. I think we need to take him in, you know, get him charged, and then take care of the lady, because the lady, the courtroom lady, she got stuck with another fucking needle of heroin, and apparently it was a lot this time. She kind of was sleeping, so he was kind of worried. The cop was kind of worried about her, which hint, hint, this is the cop buddy that was helping her out in the beginning, anyways, and giving her some inside intel. And so they're arguing. This cop is arguing with the other main bad cop. The chief walks out because the chief is now not secured to the evidence locker like he was, and shoots the good cop in the back of the leg. So then they start bickering more, and Terry's like, "This is my time to run." So he grabs his bag of non-lethals that he has on the ground and grabs the cop that was helping him out, or helping out the courtroom lady who's inadvertently helping out him, and pulls him behind a police car and has this whole ass fight scene. Um, Really cool fight scene, amazing. Would love to watch it again. Very dope. He then proceeds to get into the cop car with the courtroom lady, drives it over to where the injured cop is, gets Narcan into the injured courtroom lady who's ODing basically, and then grabs the cop, puts him in the passenger seat, and drives off. He also flips on the lights and sirens, and he does this because apparently in the new cars, the lights and sirens automatically activate the body cam or the dash cam. The dash cam records 3 minutes prior, which then shows the chief shooting the good cop. So he has all this evidence, and he's running, and he gets a tire popped out, so he can't really run that fast. But they're going down the highway, and they're like, "Okay, we're gonna pit him," and they decide to have the black lady pit the guy, the one from the station, who was not on his side, and then didn't shoot at him during the gunfight, so kind of turned to his side. So she's kind of taken in all that's been happening. I don't think she was really into the situation. She just kind of found out what's going on now. And so they're like, "Okay, go for the pit." And she drives up right next to him, looks over, gives him a head kind of nod, and then drives on past where the chief is up ahead and pits the shit out of the chief. Then they give all the cop code words "Yeah, we're 1056," and basically give this guy a escort all the way to the hospital. Um, which then he kind of grabs the DVR in the back of the cop car so he can have evidence and things like that. And then you get a black screen. You don't actually get a solid ending of oh, the chief, got taken down, thing like that, or that kind of stuff. Kind of a soft ending for you to kind of draw your own conclusion to, which I'm okay with, I guess. only because it's mainly wrapped up. You can put the conclusion of what's going to happen at this point because they're calling in the state police. This is no longer city or county police. This is state police going to come in and deal with this investigation. And the reason why they're hiding this footage is because they got in a lawsuit like 2 years ago. And the lawsuit was them like over basically them being aggressive and like going over the line. I don't remember exactly what happened, so I don't want to misquote or miss say anything. But basically, they went over the line on one of their on one of their cases, and they got fucked for it. They like lost a lot of money for it, and the sheriff was going to lose his job. So they went out there and started seizing money from people that had a lot of money, and so yeah, um, that's kind of the movie. I enjoyed this movie a lot. There is one more thing that I have on my notes that I've been waiting for till the very end to say, which is the guy's whole MO is being non-lethal and like kind of de-escalating in senses of like not wanting to get shot and not really wanting to kill people, which understandable. So he uses like he has the opportunity several times throughout this use lethal means of like, pistols, rifles, shotguns, things like that. And he really doesn't like at all. I don't think he shoots anybody. And with the amount of gunshots, it's impressive. Um, but I mean, besides the beanbag rounds against the cop or the chief, but whatever, that doesn't really count. But he does a lot of hand to hand takedowns and that kind of stuff where it is impressive. Um, but I really enjoyed this movie. I think that if you guys were kind of thinking about watching the movie anyways, that you really should now because it's brand new. You can talk to about you can talk to your buddies with it about it. Wow. You can talk to your buddies about this movie because they can watch it too, kind of thing. Um, but it was really solid. I really enjoyed it. Um, I'm gonna move to ratings. I'm gonna give this movie a solid 8 out of 10. It loses 2 points because there's parts in it that I don't think are super realistic, but I think they get so much right. Actually, I'm gonna go 8.5 out of 10. They get so much right in this movie. They're using the right abbreviations from what I can tell. I mean, like, she stuck a hand out at another cop. The black lady stuck a hand out at another cop, putting a 4 out the window to show that she was code 4 without having to get on the radio, which that's kind of dope. Um, so I really enjoyed the realistic parts that they were able to tie into the movie, and some of the kind of funnier parts. There wasn't a whole lot of funny scenes in this. Kind of you had to look for them, if anything. But it was thought provoking, and it kind of kept getting, like I said, deeper and deeper and deeper. Like you're like, oh, we're kind of at that level, and then it'd be step, another step, another step. So I, yeah, 8.5 out of 10. But if you guys liked this video, go check out some other ones. Last week was The Crow. The week before that, they did, or Midnight Critics did Romulus. And I don't know what's next for us, but it'll be interesting. We also have Midnight Music's coming out every Monday at 10 a.m. I'll actually tell you which one is coming out. Or I'll give you we'll see. See how I feel. Let me look at it first. I might give you a hint. I might tell you what it is. Let us take a peek though first. We have I'm gonna give you this one only because it'll be coming out a few days later. And if you're watching these back to back, you deserve it. You deserve to know what's coming out. We have Eminem's Recovery album for Midnight Music coming out on the 16th at 10 a.m. So that'll be good. We also are streaming on Twitch as the Midnight Plays. So you definitely should check us out there too. Um, when this goes up, we should be having a stream on the next Saturday and Sunday. Oh, I just gave you, whoops, Paul. Let me try that again. I gave you the last midnight music because I'm recording this before this one comes out. So the next midnight music after this video will actually be Kesha Animal, which is a good one. Listen to it. But as I was saying, Midnight Plays on Twitch. Check us out. Cool. We're currently streaming Star Wars Outlaws and getting through that. Doing all the main mission. This is a let's play kind of thing. And then either me or Corey are going back and editing the actual streams. The first episode's actually been edited at this point. It just needs to be, and it needs some other touch ups and things like that. And possibly even redone. I don't know. I need to talk to Corey about it. But outside of that, we have other social medias like TikTok. We're not really touching yet. We will be at some point. We do have an X or a Twitter that we will be also touching at some point or using at some point eventually, and an Instagram, which may or may not come back to life. We're kind of busy with working on things, so we're trying to figure some stuff out. But yeah, if you guys enjoyed this, leave a like, leave a comment. There'll be a form in the comment section also, showing or taking you to a Google Forms document where you can give us feedback about this episode or about the channel in general, suggestions you'd like to see, things like that. There's also a document that you can go and check out to see the next or to see the release schedule, because the midnight reviews are changing on when they're released kind of thing. So it's not a set date guaranteed kind of thing. But with that being said, midnight reviews will be out on Fridays. If we do have midnight plays, which will be the gaming stuff for currently Star Wars Outlaws and the edited version of those, which is not really edited, slightly edited. Those will be on Wednesdays, guaranteed. Me and Corey are also discussing releasing multiple of those back to back to back, just to be able to get through the game, because I think we're gonna have a lot of episodes, which is possible. But yeah, leave a like, turn on the notification bell, subscribe, do all that fun stuff. That way you don't miss anything. And I mean, we appreciate if you guys have the notifications on. That way you guys can watch the recent stuff we review or the new gameplay that we're going to be dropping, kind of stuff. We also have a lot of other content that we're thinking about. And also, if you don't have the notification bell on, I believe you'll still get our videos recommended in your feed so that you can still stay in the loop. If something does kind of come up and be like, oh, I really wanted to listen to that, review, or, listen to or watch the gameplay of this. But yeah, I'll see you all in the next one. Have a good night.